Here's my 2 dry cows. So Annabelle's been dry for about a month, more than a month, since beginning of August. She's due in October. And Bree, I just dried up 5 days ago. So she is not due till December. She thinks I'm bringing her in for milking, but I'm not. I just want to come out and look at her udder. Sorry, Bree. No milking. So this is a 5-day post-dry up udder. There's no hardness or anything. I'd like her to slow down so I could feel it. Well, I guess she thinks she ought to be milked. There's being a mistake here. Oh, Orange Susan thinks I ought to milk her. Make sure I close that gate. I did. Alright, hey girl. So I just want to feel it's not hot or anything. Definitely engorged. Nothing's hot. So I think we're okay. Over the next week, I should start to see that decrease down. No leaking milk or anything. Good girl. Good girl. Just dog cat food for you. I love scratching right behind their little hairdo. Right there. It's like the spot they can never get. I have to get more food for the cat now that he's not getting milk every day. I've been bringing him down food. It's not as good as fresh raw milk. So I am just getting home from coffee with a friend and I decided to take our bottom driveway up. One, because there's no gates on it right now and I can just drive right up it. Our top one has a couple gates on it just so the beef cows don't get out. But also just two, so that I could check on Bree's udder because she is 5 days into being dried up. And so currently I have no cows in milk, which is crazy. It feels weird. I don't really like it, but yeah, that's where we're at right now. So I won't have a cow in milk for another month until Annabelle calves in October. So I'm kind of riding the dry life right now, which is a strange feeling. Here, Jillian. Hey, Jillian. Alright. Hi, girl. Hi. How's it going? Hi. I think I better make myself some lunch. I'm kind of hungry. Oh, it's okay. Go outside. Go outside. Oh, Josie. I'm thinking grilled cheese sandwich. Probably. Cheddar. Young cheddar. I just had this in a grilled cheese sandwich yesterday. It was really good. Kids are in school now. It's so weird to make lunch just for myself. Oh, it's late to have lunch. Store-bought butter. It's so white. We actually eat a lot of store-bought butter. Just because I make so much cheese that I don't have enough cream, and then capture too. I make so much cheese and I capture. So usually I'm using fresh milk to make my cheese, and so then we're not giving it a chance to cream line and be able to get all of that cream, so I just don't make as much butter as we use. Secret to a good grilled cheese sandwich is you have to put it in the pan cold so that the cheese can really melt. Has enough time. So in today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about what it means for us to go into the dry period in terms of accessing milk. How do we make sure that we have enough milk for the dry period? What do we do for a month with no milk? For most people, this is at least 2 months if they only have one milk cow, where they're having a dry period most years where they're not going to have any milk for that span of 2 to usually 4 months is how long people are drying up their cows. And so in today's video, I just want to talk a little bit about what we do, what I know other people do that works really well for them, just so that you can kind of prepare yourself kitchen-wise for no milk. Now, I've definitely done videos on my channel before about how to prepare your cow for the dry up, so I'll link some of those down below. I've talked a little bit about it over on Instagram, just because there's some things that I do to make sure that my cow is really ready to be dried up. But in today's video, I just really want to focus on the kitchen and how do we manage when we're so used to having so much milk coming into our kitchen every day and all of a sudden we have none. Yeah, so that's what today's video is going to be about. Okay, so 5 days in, let's look in our fridge. What do we have in here left? Okay, we have a jug of store-bought milk in the back. Store-bought pasteurized milk. I bought that last week because I have a cheese making workshop tomorrow for my Milkmaid Society members. We make cheese together once a month, and so I specifically chose a cheese that I wouldn't need to get much milk. So tomorrow we are making spreadable cheese, which is like a cheese whiz. I actually have some right here. So this is a jar of spreadable cheese that we're going to be making in tomorrow's workshop. So I needed that milk for that, even though we still have some milk because I only dried her up on Friday. So I still have, I believe this is the last jar of Friday's milk. After this is gone, we might have one more. I'll have to look in the milk fridge. But after this is gone, we're done. No more milk. We'll have to get store-bought milk. We have yogurt. So this is a jar of yogurt, a random kid's glass of milk that they must have been drinking. We've got some dip that I had made last week that's got yogurt and mayonnaise in it. It's like an onion, like a French onion dip, which is really good. I have a forgotten jar of clabber back here, but it's not that old, so I'll still use this in baking. If you don't know, I keep a clabber culture that I use as a culture for all of the different cheeses that I make. I have another jar of spreadable cheese, so I made this last week just because I wanted to have enough to get us through the week. I knew that this would be the week that we would not have milk. So other stuff I have in here, this is not sour cream, it's some sort of spread that Zach's mom made for him. It's like some sort of spread. Bread. We have cheese, obviously. That cheese I just put in there. I've got a Colby in here that we've been eating on. This is my clabber that was freshly fed. Oh, I gotta split my grilled cheese sandwich here. This is my clabber that was freshly fed. I'm gonna throw some of that into the freezer. Turn that to low and slow for grilled cheese. Alright, yeah, so I'm going to put some of this into ice cube trays in the freezer. I meant to do that and then I ran out of time. So I'm going to do that just so that, one, if I'm making any sort of fresh dairy products during this next month, I can just use that as a culture. I wouldn't use that for aged dairy products, but I'd for sure do that for some fresh dairy products like cream cheese or something like that. And also just to jumpstart my clabber when my next cow calves. So when Annabelle calves in October, I'll probably start one from scratch, but I'll probably just also make another clabber culture with some frozen clabber, just so I can get it going a little bit quicker. Now, what else do I have in here? I have another jar of yogurt, so we are down to 1.5 jars of yogurt. So I made this last week as well because I knew dry up was coming, and we eat a lot of that. As for other, this is kids, we have like 2 half jars of yogurt. There's like 2 scoops in there. So we have, I guess, 1 full jar and 2 half jars of yogurt, and wait for it. 3 half jars of yogurt. We're gonna have to pay attention to that so we don't lose a jar. And then the rest is not dairy related. So that is what our main fridge looks like 1 week, not quite 1 week, 5 days into dry up. Let's see. Ooh, she's perfect on that side. I just want her a bit better on this side. Looks good. Get up myself a plate. Now we're golden on both sides. Nice, beautiful grilled cheese. I've been putting apples in my grilled cheese, which is so good. I was just too lazy to cut some up today. Good. Alright, I'm gonna eat my grilled cheese, and then I'm gonna show you what my milk fridge looks like right now and what my cheese fridge looks like right now, and then we're going to sit down and talk a little bit about what the dry period looks like for us. Alright, so done my little lunch. Now let me take you and show you my cheese fridge. Okay, I don't think it is even September if you don't have a bucket of cucumbers in your pantry right now. So, currently, this is my milk fridge. Oh, I do have one more. I have one more milk. Yay, money in the bank. Okay, so this is my milk fridge. It's got some cheese that I don't really want to continue ripening. I like it at the age that it is. It's got my feta. I usually store that in here, and it usually has just a whole bunch of milk, but now it's home to a whole bunch of carrots. So that's what's in there. And then my cheese fridge has got lots going on in it, and it's very neglected. There's parts of it that are very neglected at this point, but you can see that there's a lot of cheese in there. And so for the next month, we're going to be relying heavily on this cheese. You know, we eat cheese all year round, obviously, but when we don't have kind of unlimited fresh dairy products, fresh milk, we're really going to be digging into this fridge a lot more than we kind of usually are. And you know, I don't want my cheese to over-ripen, so I want to make sure that we get to the cheeses that need to be eaten, the ones that don't really benefit from aging too long, and so we're going to kind of be prioritizing those first and then going into those older ones as we get there. And then October 17th, when Annabelle is due, we'll be here before we know it, and then we'll be back into milk for those times. So you might be wondering, are you kind of completely planning on stopping milk for the dry period, or are you going to buy milk? I've already showed you that we have 1 gallon of that pasteurized milk in the refrigerator, but honestly, we're going to buy milk for the duration of our dry period. I don't really lose sleep over having to buy pasteurized milk for a month or so. I am kind of curious to see how much milk we're going to be consuming over that time frame. It's kind of inconvenient having to buy milk because I for sure have to go to the grocery store every week, which I usually don't have to go to the grocery store every week. Usually I can kind of, you know, get away with having to go maybe once every couple weeks or so, just because we buy a lot of things in bulk and we grow a lot of our own things. And really, before we had a dairy cow, dairy was sort of that missing link that caused us to have to go to the grocery store every single week. So I don't love having to go back into the kind of that routine of having to pick up milk, but you know what, it is what it is, and it's only for a month. And the trade-off is we get a little bit of a break, which keeps it interesting and it keeps it fun having milk cows when you know you are going to have a little break. Like, we've got a camping trip planned for a couple weeks from now, which is something that would just take a lot more planning if we had to plan around getting somebody to milk our cow and stuff during that time. So the trade-off is we have to buy milk and I have to go to the store once a week, and I'll have to figure out how much milk we're actually going to be drinking. I don't like to ration my kids on milk. I like them to be able to just have as much as they want because it is so good for them, specifically the raw milk, but I'm not going to ration them on pasteurized milk either. So we'll just see how much we need to get. Now, I have heard from a lot of families on Instagram that have messaged me and said that, you know, we just freeze our milk in jugs for the dry up period. And so I kind of tossed around doing that. I've tossed that around before in the past, and I don't know, one, it takes up a lot of freezer space for us to freeze the amount of milk that we would need to fresh drink for the next month. I don't think we have enough freezer space for that, and we have a lot of freezers. But also, I didn't have enough jugs for that. When you're not buying milk, you don't usually have jugs. So I thought, well, maybe bag, but that kind of sounds messy. And in the end, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take the break that we are going to have and just buy milk during that time. As far as fresh dairy products go, like cream cheese and sour cream and cottage cheese, all of those things I usually make on the weekly for our family, yogurt, and I haven't really landed on whether I'm going to buy them or if I will just continue making them. Now, I feel like I should make them because I am a cheese influencer over on Instagram, and I kind of feel a little self-conscious walking down the dairy aisle and being like, hopefully nobody knows me. I'm not Robin Jackson. But anyways, I will get over my my fear of walking down the dairy aisle if I have to, but I don't know, I might just still make them at home but use pasteurized milk. I do have some things frozen, so I have like a lot of ricotta and cottage cheese frozen, which I don't think we would have to buy, or we would buy. We could just make do without those during the dry up period. The things that I'm more thinking about is sour cream, which I think I would just buy it rather than making it, but you never know, we'll see. I might run out of content ideas and need to make some sour cream. Yeah, so sour cream we might make, not sure. Yogurt I'll probably still make because I can get a gallon of milk from the grocery store and just make yogurt really quickly, and it's still going to save me a lot of money. Sour cream is on the fence. I think I would still save a little bit of money making it myself too, so I might make it. Sour cream and yogurt would be kind of the ones that I probably would make. As far as making any cheeses or anything, other than tomorrow when I have my cheese meeting with my Milkmaid Society members, I'm not really going to be making any cheese. I'm just going to enjoy the break. We're going to be eating the cheeses that are in our cheese fridge, relying on any ones that I froze. So I have a lot of frozen mozzarella, like a lot, like stacks stacks of frozen mozzarella. It's shredded and ready to go for pizza night. So we will actually start to dig into that a lot more. I like to kind of, mozzarella is just such an easy cheese for me to make at this point. You know, a lot of people say, you know, mozzarella is not a beginner cheese, and I agree with that, but when it works for you, it works for you, and it's a really simple, fast way to use up a lot of milk. And when you have 2 dairy cows and you need to use up a lot of milk, a lot of times mozzarella is just kind of my go-to. Either the quick mozzarella or the naturally acidified mozzarella. I find both just as easy and just as, you know, not very time consuming. And so I end up storing a ton of mozzarella in the freezer. So over the next month, we're gonna have a lot of pizza nights because I want to get rid of that so that when Annabelle calves in October and when Brie calves in December, we can, you know, replenish that mozzarella, and it's just an easy thing for me to make and offload a bunch of milk. Now I'm going to grab my book and just look through because I want to see what else I maybe should be talking to you guys about. The biggest thing I'm going to miss is clabber. Okay, the biggest thing I'm going to miss is the fresh drinking milk for the kids. I don't actually drink like a ton of milk. You'd be surprised to know that. I definitely drink it in like my iced coffee, but I don't drink like a ton of just sit down and have a glass of milk. It's actually kind of a funny story. So Zach and I both drink our coffee, like our first coffees in the morning. We just have them black. And the reason for that is that we used to drink them with cream. And then we went through so many dry periods where it was like, okay, now the cows are dry for 2 months and we don't get to drink cream in our coffee unless we have to go out and buy it. And again, that's another trip to the grocery store, or you don't remember to buy it, or you don't buy enough. And it was this whole thing, just not being used to not having cream, and then going into a spell where you didn't have cream in your coffee, and we just didn't like it. So we both made the decision to just start drinking our coffee black, and now we just never drink cream in our coffee, even when we have cows and milk. So that's kind of our funny milk cow story. Anyways, the thing that I'm gonna miss, I kind of lost my train of thought there, was the clabber. So I'm gonna miss having constant clabber in my kitchen, and I actually might just keep a pasteurized milk clabber culture, and that's why I'm going to put some of that clabber from my last feeding, I'm going to put some of it in ice cubes, and you know what, I might just keep, feed a jar of pasteurized milk, that clabber, once a week or so, just so I can have some clabber in the fridge for baking, because I'm really going to miss it. I'm really going to miss it for like ranch dressing, and just always having some sort of coagulated milk in the fridge is so convenient. And so that's one of my absolute favorite things. Okay, I'm going to just look through and think about all the things that we're going to miss during this dry up period. So obviously I talked about the liquid milk. We're going to be buying milk. Some people freeze it. Starter cultures, which would be that clabber culture, I'm just going to freeze some of that in ice cube trays, not only for us to have during the dry up period, possibly making some pasteurized milk stuff, but also just to kind of streamline it once Annabelle calves and get some going right away, because I love it so much. Yogurt I'm going to make probably, maybe not once a week, but every couple weeks. I'll probably just make enough to last a couple weeks, and then really, if I do that every couple weeks, I only have to do it like 3 weeks in a row with pasteurized milk, and then we're back in milk. So we'll get there before we know it. Butter, we always just buy our butter, usually anyways, like we're not, I'm not putting enough butter away every year to have enough to make it through the year. And that's just because I make so much cheese, and a lot of the cheese that I make, I'm using fresh from the cow milk that has never had a chance to cream line. And then plus calf sharing. Calves hold back their cream for their calves, so then you don't get as much cream. So we still buy a lot of butter. I do have some though in the freezer that I should use up. So I made a bunch of butter in June, I feel like, right after I weaned the calves. So we should get into that butter and use it over the next month. Ghee, I put away actually quite a bit of ghee, because I don't know if you've ever made butter from summer milk. Sometimes milk in the summer is just really soft just because of the grasses and stuff that the cows are eating, and so it's just kind of really hard to work with and not like super fun. And so I often will actually just make ghee in the summer if I'm making a batch of butter, because then I don't have to work out all the buttermilk and it's not so soft. So I make a lot of ghee in the summer. Sour cream, I'm gonna miss that, and I don't know, I might make it, I'm not sure, we'll see, it's to be announced. The rich cream cheese, which is made with 100% cream, I probably won't make. I probably have some of that in the freezer because it freezes really well. Anything that is heavy in cream is going to freeze really well. Clabber cream cheese, I might make that. That's why I'm also storing some of those cubes in the freezer, just in case I want to make some clabber cream cheese. Baked cheesecake, we're gonna miss baked cheesecake, but we will not eat it for the next 6 weeks probably, unless I have some frozen. I might have some frozen. I usually make it from quark though. Sometimes I make it from clabber cream cheese, and it doesn't, like, it gets a bit wetter, like you'd have to restrain it after it freezes. What else? Ricotta I have in the freezer. I have spreadable cheese, is that cheese whiz kind of thing that I talked about. I have another jar in the fridge, and then I'm going to make some tomorrow. I don't know, we don't need to eat that every week, so I probably wouldn't make it over the next 6 weeks, just kind of offload to eating other cheeses. Hand cheese, which is made from quark, which is like kind of a cream cheese, probably just wouldn't make those, we'll just wait. Things like squeaky cheese curds, I won't make those, I'll just wait till we're back in milk. Halloumi, I have a bunch of that in the freezer, so it's really good freezer cheese, so we'll have to eat that over the next couple weeks. Whey ricotta and whey caramel, I actually have some whey caramel in the fridge. I won't miss the whey. I don't do a ton of stuff with it just because I'm having so much milk come into my kitchen all the time that, I don't end up doing a ton of stuff with it. Sometimes I'll use it as like a base for soups, or as like cook rice in it or something like that, but usually I just dump it in the garden. And if you are dumping it in the garden, just be really careful that you're not dumping it directly on the plants and you're not putting it in the same spot too much, because it's very acidic and it will kind of damage. It's good for your soil, but it will damage your soil and your plants if you pour it right on them. As I said, mozzarellas are all covered in the freezer. I have so much mozzarella in the freezer, and we're going to get to that. Feta, I wish I had made more. I thought that I had more, and then actually just when we were looking at the video, or taking the video in the milk fridge, I was like, oh, there's not as much feta in that jar as I thought there was. So we'll kind of have to ration that. I probably won't make it. I'll just wait, and then we'll just eat feta when it comes. And I've got some cojita in the cheese fridge, so we can eat that in replacement of it if we needed to. It kind of has the same kind of, I don't know, salty crumbliness to it. Provolone and brie. Now, provolone I definitely have in the cheese fridge, and we're going to be digging into that. Brie, I had meant to have so many nice bries ready for the dry period, but my lid, I don't know if you saw that when I opened up the cheese fridge. I have a couple boxes of bries in there, but the lids got kind of skewed off of them, and they dried out. So they're not going to be any good for eating as brie. We can still eat them as like a hard cheese, but not going to be soft, melty brie. I was kind of disappointed with that, especially because I was kind of banking on having like some nice bries for the dry up period, making some nice fall videos with brie. Anyways, is what it is. I actually will probably make some brie with my Milkmaid Society members in October for our first meeting of October, and I'll use pasteurized milk for that because we won't be back into milk yet. And I know a brand of milk that I like to use for brie that I've used before, just when I'm testing recipes and stuff. So I'll probably use that. Brie, you know, you can make like a half-gallon batch and you still get a couple little bries out of it, whereas, you know, you can't make a half-gallon batch of barely any other cheese with getting much of it. Now, as far as pressed aged cheeses, I have all of these ready to go in the cheese fridge. So I have Italian Havarti, I have regular, just plain old Havarti, Gouda, Colby, cheddar, and Alpine, which is also Parmesan and Asiago kind of substitute. So I have all of those in the cheese fridge, ready to go, ready to eat, ready to enjoy. And I think the main kind of thing about going into the drive up period is, you know, one, I'm going to miss all the fresh milk. I hate, you know, not having just access to milk all the time. You get used to it. You get used to just always having it there and never having to think about it. But the other side of the story is that, you know, you get to have a little break, and it's good to miss something. So it's good for me to not have instant access to that, so that when my cows do calve and I am feeling overwhelmed because there's gallons and gallons of milk in the fridge every single day, you know, that's still going to be fun. It's still going to kind of excite me to have that. And so I think that's a really good lesson that the dry up period kind of teaches you, is that, you know, it is seasonal. Everything comes in seasons, and milk is one of those things. So yeah, I hope this video gave you guys a little inspiration for, I don't know what it gave you inspiration for. If you're going into the dry up period, if you are planning on having a milk cow one day and you're wondering what that dry up period looks like, you know, this is a little insight into what it looks like in our kitchen perspective. As I said, I have talked a lot about how to prepare your cows for dry up. Actually, in the Milkmaid Society this month, which I will link that down below, it's my monthly membership, we deep dived into drying up your cow this month. So we had so much information in the Milkmaid Society about all sorts of things to do with cows and cheese making and dairy processing, but we really were deep diving into drying up this month, and we do a different deep dive every single month. So yeah, that's that. But thank you guys for watching this video. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. Come back next Monday, because I post a new video most Mondays, although I've gone 3 Mondays without posting one, but I'm back. So, you know, the kids are in school. I've got some kind of free time because I'm not milking a cow right now, or 2 cows. Next year I'm going to be milking 3 cows. I got to make some tough decisions. I don't know if I want to milk 3 cows. But I don't want to get rid of any cows. It's a predicament. Anyways, I'll be back next Monday with some sort of video, because I got time to make a video. So come back and yeah, like, subscribe, all the things. Okay, bye guys.